One of the most wonderful things about holiday times is creating meaningful memories with your family. And it's even more meaningful, for example, in Advent when you're connecting to each other and to God at the same time. But starting a new tradition at home is hard. There's so many other things that pull at our time and attention. So if it's something that you'd like to try, make a commitment to at least twice a week. And choose a time that's going to be easiest for everybody. When people's schedules look like most people will be home at that particular time. And maybe only take 5 or 10 minutes for an activity or a brief prayer. Second thing you want to do is choose a location that's going to be welcoming to you, where people are going to be comfortable, and that can be a place that can be set up for prayer. It could be a living room, a bedroom, a kitchen, a dining room. You could use tables, the hearth, the floor, whatever seems appropriate to you. Then once you've decided when and where, you can use some props to help you make it into a space of prayer and reflection and openness and sharing. You can use elements from nature, an icon, a cross, and we'll show you some of those things when we explore very briefly some examples of how you could set that up in your own home. So you don't have to worry about recreating church in your own house. You just need to think about what's going to help you connect to the specificity of the season, to God, and to each other, where you get to spend some meaningful time connecting around the season of Advent. And finally, just remember that no matter what you do, and no matter how long or how infrequently your activity or prayer time is, that God is already there waiting for you, already there ready to welcome you into that space and to bless you and the people that join you in it, or to bless you if you're alone. And because God loves you and is inviting you into this season of preparation to welcome God into your homes for Advent, Christmas, Epiphany, and beyond. Many blessings. So the space of prayer that turned out to be the most successful for the Briggs family is the dining room table, because we have to show up here to eat. So what we did was we decided we would put out a random placemat and an Advent wreath. And we didn't have any regular colored Advent candles like blue or purple or pink. So we just used whatever we have. And then something from nature, either some greens or in this case, some flowers. And we either begin or end the meal with a reading and a prayer that has something to do with Advent. Another place I like to use for prayer is the hearth. And I have a few props that help here. One is an icon. This is a favorite one of mine. It's just the face of Jesus. And a candle, perhaps. And this candle is actually something I made last year from leftover candles from the candles on the altar at church. So that's kind of cool. And I love to collect rocks. So sometimes a focal point for prayer, or a prop, if you wish, can be something from nature. And so I love rocks. So I would probably stick some rocks around just to remind me of our connection to the earth. So there's a possible setup at the hearth. You can do your own thing.
Hi, my name is Ann Delgado, and I'm from St. Peter's Church in Freehold, New Jersey, where I do formation work and help families connect with faith at church and at home.
And I'm Jane Gober. I'm the interim rector at Grace Church in Pemberton, New Jersey. And we're gathered here today to talk to you about some ways in which you can enrich your Advent prayer life at home in the middle of all of the craziness of the world and the craziness of our lives during the season of Advent and the winter wonderland that's going on out beyond that. So we have a handful of resources for you to use today, some of which will seem fairly not traditional, moving beyond just your classic Advent wreath, which is a great devotional, but doesn't always work for every home and every setting.
So one of the first categories that we think is really great, especially for families, are the coloring pages. Although this is for all ages, because there are lots of adults who can really get into the devotional sense while they're coloring, and it's a very peaceful activity. One of the great resources we found for this is Illustrated Children's Ministry, which you can get online for a very reasonable cost. And they have every year an Advent journey coloring pages and a devotional guide that goes with it. and you can just download it and print it out, and it's just really modern and fresh, but really relevant coloring, and it's a chance to open up the discussion, even if it's just something you're doing as your own devotional. But it's a great resource, and they have a lot of brand new Advent resources for 2018 that they just released in October. So nice and fresh and ready for us to try.
A similar format that's a little bit more geared towards an adult and older audience is the coloring work from Sanctified Art. And this is a downloadable booklet, very reasonable price based on congregational size. And what I love about it is that it has readings. It also has places for journaling and reflecting, which can be part either a conversation or your work on your own. And then the coloring parts of it are so beautiful, I'm not sure you need to color them. So when I've used this, what I've done is I've printed out some that were this size for folks who have good vision and may not be planning on using the coloring facet of it. But then I've also, because I download it and have the option, I also printed it in a large 8x12 size format. Because then it becomes A, easier to read, and B, a little bit more space to color in between the lines. So this is Sanctified Art, and you can find them online.
Another great thing to try in Advent are devotions. It's sort of a nicely contained season. And if you haven't been in the practice of doing daily or even weekly devotions, it's a great opportunity to try and start that, because it is the beginning of the liturgical New Year. So New Year's are always a great time to try something new. You can start by looking in the Book of Common Prayer at the daily devotions. On page 136, there are daily devotions for individuals and families that you can do morning, noon, and night, or one or all of those. But they're brief and a great way to get to know your Book of Common Prayer a little bit more during this season. There's also but a really cool social media thing from Anglican Communion, the Virginia Theological Seminary, and also the Society of St. John the Evangelist, and it's called Advent Word, and with a hashtag, so hashtag Advent Word, and it's this great global interactive social media Advent calendar. And so you can sign up, they'll send you emails, you can look it up, hashtag Advent Word, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and it allows you to take the word of the day. There's a different word assigned for each day of Advent, and post your own image. So, and the words are simple: light, truth, blessing,
peace, justice.
Exactly. So something that can appeal and all ages can relate to. So that's a great way to get the kids involved. Find images for each of these around the house, take a quick picture, post it, and then you're joining what really is a global Advent calendar, which is pretty cool.
So another devotional idea is a book-based idea, and it's Being Christian by Rowan Williams. And I have it here on my Kindle app on my phone. It's also available as an audio app and available classically in print. And it's actually based on, emerges from some lectures during the Advent season that Dr. Williams did a number of years ago. And it really does take us back to the beginning and the heart, and a deep exploration, but accessible to everyone, of baptism, Bible, Eucharist, and prayer. And it's a short series, it's easy to read, easy to listen to, and because it was originally used as an Advent lecture series, it connects with the season in a beautiful way.
And also, if you have used the illustrated children's ministry coloring pages, there's a devotional guide that you can download, and that's especially great for families. It gives you sort of prompts to talk about, maybe with younger children and even some older children, but also has some individual devotions as well. Again, very easy to access, and their resources can be purchased at the church level. So if you're planning these programmatically, you can download them, or as individuals, they have resources for both church and families. If you see their website, it's very easy to navigate.
So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to practice Advent wreaths or Advent journeys with material objects that are also really easy to transport with you. And the idea behind them is how to foster that sense of light and enlightenment without using candles. Because in some households, that would seem like a really dangerous thing to do. There are also folks who are in housing situations where candles wouldn't even be allowed. And I like those LED candles too, but there's just something less whatever about switching a little switch on to turn on the light than lighting a light. So I started on a process of trying to find some ways to practice the Advent wreath type thing without candles. I'm going to show you a couple of them. One is a found object journey. These are all objects from my life, and you can do it two ways. You could either have it set out on a path going towards your Holy Family, and then each day with a devotional sentence and prayer life, remove one object and bring it as a treasure to the Holy Family, going along the way. Or you could do it the other way, because we are sent out from Christmas to be the incarnate Christ in the world, and you could just be leading it out from the Holy Family and making either a circle or a journey. All of these objects have meaning in my life and people in my world and things I'm praying about right now. And maybe in your life there are lots of these little objects. And I also made sure they all fit in this little box. Some families travel around the holidays and have the experience of, if they have the big wreath at home, as soon as they take off to go to visit family elsewhere, the devotional practice stops and it doesn't get completed. And so this is a way to carry it with you. You could also do the same thing with beads. These, beads you put in vases. Very simple, easy to do. Make a path all the way around. And the same process of taking or leaving, whatever calls to you. And then there's one more idea. And this is using quotes and what I call pins. I like Pinterest a lot. So little pins, images that have sayings and meanings on them, and creating a wreath of sorts around the Holy Family. And day by day, choosing a different one and spending time with the quote or the image, reflecting with your family, maybe using some of those classic godly play questions or Lectio Divina questions. What leaps out at you? What's the most important part? And who are we called to be through this message? And these all have words on them. And I was thinking that if you have young children, you could also just do images of art. So I put together a set that are images to reflect on. Some of these are from my life. Some of these are images that make me think of people who are important in my life and need my prayers right now. Some of them are just reflective of the season, like a sparkler, or going down a dark path that you don't know where it's going, or a dandelion. Dandelion is something that most people think of as weed and is just dismissible, and frankly, the people who came to the Holy Family, the shepherds, were dismissible. And actually, so was that family. So this is just a couple of ways to practice the Advent journey without using candles, in ways that are meaningful, but also transportable. Oh, and I forgot one more coloring thing. This is a color your own Holy Family, and it even folds up. You can find a whole bunch of them online. Just download it, print it on a little bit stiffer paper. This one even comes with sort of a creche setting. Actually, this one, I had to go into the artist's other drawings and find more people because I wanted the people of the world showing up. But you can color it, fold it up, put it in an envelope, and take it with you wherever you go to practice the journey of bringing all of the people to the Holy Family.
Another great Advent tradition that we've had in our homes, I can remember it from when I was a child, is an Advent calendar to really mark down the days until Christmas. And you can find all sorts of these online, especially on Pinterest. I would suggest you look for one that has a more faithful message with perhaps Bible verses or service ideas, and less towards the let's watch a Christmas movie and drink hot chocolate, although that is also fun. But this is a faith activity, so let's try to help ourselves stay focused. So there's lots online that you can just simply print out, and you could color this one. This one was on WordPress. And an Advent calendar, you go through the days, and this one does have Isaiah, the Psalms, a little suggestion. This one says make music, mend a quarrel, pray, little simple things. At our church at St. Peter's, we've done one as a parish, and it has, a couple of Bible verses, especially on the Sundays, some quotes from saints and theologians like Martin Luther and Dietrich Bonhoeffer, ideas including, maybe considering a gift for life from Episcopal Relief and Development as a service, an act of service, or even something closer to home by delivering cookies to a neighbor, or buying a Toys for Tot or a gift to give away. So there's a variety of options out there, and it's a great way, just, in a few minutes. We leave ours on the dining room table. We read it at dinner. The kids, it gives my boys something to talk about and us to think about as a family, and it's a really great way to just bring the faith into the home during this time of year, and hopefully extending even beyond that. But this is a great opportunity to set some of those faithful habits that will grow in your home.